another edition of Travel the World as a Speaker. I'm Phylecia Jones, and I'm coming to you here to you live from Instagram and YouTube. I hope you're having an amazing Memorial Day, and hopefully here in the United States, taking some time to remember and acknowledge all of those people who, you know what, have served and protected us here, and, you know, have to be grateful. I was not someone who served in the military, but I served as a civilian scientist for the Navy for 11 and a half years. And I have to say, it was probably one of, I don't know, most memorable experiences I've ever had, being able to work on the ships with sailors and Marines and being able to travel around the world with them. So cheers to you for doing your thing, and hopefully you've had some peaceful days. So what we're going to talk about today are the top 5 expenses for speakers on this Memorial Day. We're not going to keep you very long, but this is Travel the World as a Speaker, and the one thing we do here is talk about travel and being able to leverage speaking so that you can travel the world, to go to some amazing places. And I have to tell you, you know, the gigs are coming back. There are more opportunities to go international, more opportunities to go across the United States. There's still some problems in some parts of the world, but it's slowly getting better. And that's all we can ask for, is just to slowly get better. And for those who have been going through it, man, we feel you over here. All right, so what we're going to talk about today are the top 5 expenses for speakers. So that you know, when you're out there landing gigs, you kind of get a better idea of what's really going on, especially if you built a business around all of this. So got the wrong camera, so I'm going to switch on over here. All right, so let me turn off all this stuff. I'm just so like a hot mess here on my YouTube channel. But the way we start this show off is I talk about something around travel, and right now I don't have any crazy travel stories. I'm starting to get my summer photos through my phone, telling me where I was a few years ago. I will say this, for those of you who are campers, this is the season is kicking off. My husband and I, we actually do camp, and I'm talking about tent camping. We've done backpacking, we've done car camping, we've done all the things. And probably one of the most memorable stories I can think of for Memorial Day, probably my second camping trip with him while we were dating, because, you know, I'm trying to be cute and do all the things, and like, yeah, I am so adventurous, let's go camping. We were living in Southern California at the time, so we decided to go to the Grand Canyon to do some car camping. We took my car and we drove, and I think we did about a 5-day trip. So we went to Sedona first, which is absolutely gorgeous, and while we were in Sedona, we saw the weather report that it was going to snow, and we're like, it's Arizona, there ain't no snow in Arizona. Lo and behold, we learned, because when we got into the Grand Canyon, it snowed on us. We stayed inside of the national park, and yeah, it didn't go very well. And luckily, and you know, the thing about national parks is you don't have to rough it. And we went and ate in the cafeteria, bought some winter gear at the stores there, and we were able to get through. We just had to get through those first 2 days of being in the snow, but wow, was not prepared for that one. So if you are a camper and camping today, and it happens to be 50 degrees today here in Colorado, and it's raining, so my heart goes out to all the campers out there. Hope you're staying warm. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our topic today, and that is the top 5 expenses for speakers. One of the things we have to remember, even though we're going out and traveling the world, doing all these amazing things, expenses come along with this, and that's why we've talked about making sure you start a business around your speaking career, making sure that you have a business place, even if you are doing this with your day job, you got to just make sure you have some things in place, because expenses do pop up. So I want to talk about some of the bigger ones for those of you who are jumping into public speaking, and this is going to be a thing for you, and you got to pay attention to this. So the very first expense is professional services, i.e. help. Woo, you will be, you know what, no matter what, you will be paying so much money for help. And this is getting the assistance of a VA for a few hours a month. getting someone to help you with your social media postings, your attorneys. All of these people, they cost money and they are not cheap. Okay, they are not cheap. So this will probably be your largest expense. When I look at my profit and loss statement and I see professional services, it is like, my graph is like this, and like the whole chunk is like all services. But I can sit here and complain about it, but these are people I absolutely need, because I wouldn't be able to do any of this if I did not have them. But so just remember, if you are doing this, and you're, especially for my solo business owners, and you're taking this on, this is going to be one of your biggest expenses that you're going to have to pay attention to. The second one is monthly operating expenses. You can't get over this. I wish we could. So you got to remember these monthly operating expenses. And that's just I'm doing big overviews of all of these expenses. And this is going to, your email service provider. If you are using things like G Suite here on Google, that costs money. Your Canva, so that you can have beautiful marketing graphics, that costs money. Oh gosh, I can't even think off the top of my head, because I just actually did numbers yesterday. But all of these expenses, they add up, and I call these the monthlies. These are things you pay for monthly. So you're gonna have to start paying attention to those things, because they can add up. They can add up, especially if you're not using them. So you have to pay attention to all of these monthly expenses. Why can't I remember any of these things? Paying for Canva, paying for your project management tools, your email marketing tools, your marketing graphics, some of your plugins on the backside, your calendars. So you're going to pay attention, if you use Acuity and things like that, you're going to pay for those things monthly. They add up, so you're going to have to just make sure that you understand it's the cost of doing business, okay? The third expense to pay attention to is marketing. That's it. Now, it also depends on where you are. Sometimes your marketing can be your biggest expense. Right now, marketing is probably my third biggest expense, but it's over the next few months, it's probably about to be my biggest expense, right under professional services. But marketing, I include it all under your business cards, your flyers, the things that you're using to attract people to you. If you're paying for advertising, all of that stuff, it does add up, and you got to make sure that you are budgeting for it, and make sure that you understand that this is one of the costs you're gonna have to do, especially if you're gonna be speaking. You're gonna be paying for this marketing, especially around getting your name out there, your speaker one sheets, your websites, all of that stuff. It's gonna be under that marketing budget, and you're gonna have to pay for it. I don't want you to be surprised by any of these things that pop up. So number 4, travel and entertainment. Now, we're talking about traveling the world as a speaker, and I know a lot of us want to make sure that we can get our travel and our hotel and everything paid for, which is the eventual goal. That may not be the goal completely in the beginning, or you may have to cover your travel costs and get paid a little bit. There's going to be a whole bunch of back and forth, but no matter what, travel will be a big one. Paying for hotels is not cheap. Maybe I should do my show on how much all this stuff costs. Paying for hotels is not cheap. If you're trying to wine and dine potential clients, that isn't cheap. If you're going to meet people, that isn't cheap. None of this stuff is cheap, okay? So just remember, travel and entertainment will be a big one for you if you are a speaker, and it can go both ways. Sometimes it's just purely entertainment. So, taking people out to dinner, making sure you wining and dining and, cozying up to people. All of that stuff does cost a little bit of money. And the fifth one, and please understand that this is not the totality of everything you're going to be spending your money on, but it's just a good idea of where your money is going to be going as a speaker. And your fifth one, associations and memberships. Memberships, memberships like joining iFind You Close, which this show is presented by, so that you can land and find speaking gigs. And tomorrow we're going to launch our brand new batch of speaking gigs. Since it was a holiday, we move it to the Tuesday. But this is a membership that you'll have to pay for. If you're part of networking groups, you're going to have to pay for those. Typically, you may have to pay an annual fee, sometimes a monthly and a monthly cost if it's a networking dinner, networking luncheon, things like that. They are very valuable, so you got to get your money out of it, but they can add up pretty quickly. So those are just a few of the costs when it comes to some of the expenses that you will incur as a speaker. And of course, I didn't talk about, making sure that you look good, making sure that you're taking care of yourself. All of that stuff is very, very important. But when it comes down to some of the things that you can definitely write off, I want you to pay attention to these things. Pay attention to them, because I don't want you to waste money. And if you're going to spend the money, make sure we are leveraging every dime of it. Make sure it is worthwhile. Make sure we are using it to its utmost potential. So that's what's going to happen when you are, taking in these expenses when you are a speaker. Now, of course, if you got any questions about any of this, please, all you got to do here on Instagram or YouTube is slide into the comments. I'll be sure to have an answer for you when it comes to some of these other expenses that that you have when you become a speaker. And I will have to tell you that some of this stuff can be a very slow creep to overspending, and you're gonna have to pay very big time attention to it. Hey, Kelvin, how you doing? You're gonna have to pay close attention to all of the money that you are spending to make sure that you are not overspending and eventually ruining your business, ruining your speaking career. And you know what? That is not what we want here. So of course, if you got any more questions about anything, put them in the comment box. Otherwise, this is all I got for you. If you're just joining, all you got to do is hit the rewind. I know it's kind of old school, but just slide that little thing over, slide it over, and you can watch this from the beginning. Otherwise, I will be here tomorrow. And I'm doing some double headers because we talked about burnout earlier, and we're going to talk about whether or not speaking is a good side hustle. Ooh, that's going to be the morning show, so hopefully you tune into that. And Kelvin, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. Hope you are doing well. All right. You all have an amazing evening. I will see you tomorrow. And for those of you here on YouTube, I appreciate you. Take care of yourself. Don't party too hard. Bye.